Okay, so Calgary's unemployment rate has been trending higher lately, which is obviously not good. And I'm going to break down this article recently put up by the CBC and then giving some of my thoughts on Calgary real estate as a whole. So Calgary's unemployment rate is trending higher than Canada's, but it is not because of layoffs. Calgary's unemployment rate is trending higher than the national average, but it is not about layoffs. Since about 2022, people have been moving to the city faster than they can find jobs. Obviously, we all know that Alberta has been the hotspot for interprovincial migration in the last couple years. Calgary's unemployment rate continues to trend higher than the national average, but not for the reason you might expect. It isn't because local companies are laying workers off en masse. It's because people are moving to Alberta faster than they can find jobs. We're going through a period of adjustment. It'll take some time for the labor market to absorb all the people, said Mark Parsons, chief economist at ATB Financial, an Alberta government-owned bank. While job growth in the province has been strong, he said, it hasn't been sufficient to keep up with the uptick in people moving here. Calgary's unemployment rate hit 7.9% in November, according to Statistics Canada latest 3-month moving average. That's above the current national rate of 6.8%. So just to give you guys reference, right? Here we are in Canada, 6.8%. Here we were at the peak back in the Great Financial Crisis, so 8.7%. Calgary's already at 7.8, 7.9%, so almost at GFC levels of unemployment. And then if you go check out unemployment in the States, I mean, the States is doing like pretty good, which is obviously why their interest rates are a lot higher than ours right now, because their economy can apparently sustain it for the time being. But even in the Great Financial Crisis, they hit 9.9, which obviously unemployment wasn't the main driving factor here. It was the fact that people had all these loans that they literally couldn't afford once the ARM, the adjustable rate mortgage, I guess, had expired and they had to start paying the actual amount for that mortgage. People couldn't afford it. And that's what basically collapsed the housing market. But unemployment was 9.9 at the peak. Calgary's already at 7.8, so probably not very good news. The federal agency's data shows that for about the past decade, Calgary's unemployment rate has often hovered above the rest of Canada's. The trend began following the collapse in oil prices in 2014 and remained higher than the national average throughout much of the COVID-19 pandemic. Many job seekers have realized that bosses tend to prefer hiring people who are already local. Calgary's not entirely alone in this situation. According to Statistics Canada, Edmonton's unemployment rate was even higher at 8.3% in Edmonton. Alberta's population grew 204,000 people between July of 2023 and July of 2024, according to a recent provincial news release. That's an annual growth rate of 4.4% in Alberta, the highest rate since 1981 and the highest among all provinces, it said. An estimated 42% of that increase in working age population was concentrated in Calgary, and then 40.5% in Edmonton. There are industries still dealing with labor shortages, even with the current job market. Home builders need more skilled trades workers. So I used to be a plumber. If you guys didn't know that about me, I was a plumber for nearly a decade before I became a realtor. The problem is, in my opinion, is that trades just don't get paid enough money, right? When I was a plumber, I was making like $100,000 a year. This is in 2019. And for the amount of bullshit that I literally work in other people's shit and work like 70 to 80 hours a week to make that money, it's just not worth it, in my opinion. It is good money. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of HVAC guys are making like $180,000 these days or something ridiculous. But for a lot of these types of trades, you're literally destroying your body, your health, and you're trading your time for money. So in my opinion, trades workers should be getting paid $200,000 a year. Plumbers should be making $200,000 a year. That's my opinion on that. But it's expected the unemployment rate will start to moderate as population growth slows. We do see the unemployment rate staying elevated going into 2025 and then coming down further in 2026. So back in late 2021, I was putting out a lot of videos on my TikTok saying that I thought it was a good time to buy in Calgary. And the reason why I said that is because Vancouver had gone up and the Fraser Valley had gone up so fast that the delta, the price differential between Vancouver and Calgary was way too wide. So I knew at which point Vancouver had become so expensive, people could go to Calgary and save $500,000-$600,000 by just moving to Calgary, right? They could pay literally $2,000-$3,000 a month less on their mortgage by going to Calgary. And then when I started putting out videos, probably late last year, was it late last year, late 2023? Yeah, late 2023, I started putting out videos saying it was a bad time to buy in Calgary. I don't think you should buy in Alberta. Of course, I was getting all this hate, especially from realtors in Alberta and stuff like that. People be like, oh no, this is a blah, blah, blah bull run, 10-year long bull run. And I mean, maybe, But the whole reason why people were moving to Alberta in the first place was the affordability. Now, if you can't get a job, then it's really not much more affordable. And if the housing prices are 30% higher than they were 2 years ago, again, it's not very affordable, is it? Right? So I'm not very bullish on Alberta real estate for the foreseeable future. And I mean, I think the last 2 years have really skewed people's ideologies on what Alberta real estate is. There was a 15-year period there where like you made no money whatsoever investing in Alberta. And because we have 2 good years, now suddenly everybody's like super optimistic about Alberta real estate. I do not feel comfortable buying real estate out there because if the market does go through a downturn, you can get caught holding that bag for apparently decades, which doesn't typically happen in Metro Vancouver. And the reason why is because their economy is heavily tied to oil. And they have a ton of raw land that you can just build anything anywhere for the most part, which isn't possible in the lower mainland. So I personally don't like Alberta as an investment. I liked it in late 2021 because as I spoke about, the delta between the two cities made sense. And I knew that there would probably be a wave of people moving from Ontario and BC to Alberta. But again, that would have been a timing the market sort of play from my perspective. But anyways, what is potentially bullish for Alberta is the Keystone Pipeline with Trump getting back into office. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about oil. That's not my gig. But according to this article, they think that there isn't a very good chance that this pipeline's actually going to happen. So there's talk in Washington that President-elect Donald Trump plans to revive the Keystone Pipeline project that would transport oil from northern Alberta to the U.S. Midwest. Even setting aside Trump's proposed 25% tariff on Canadian goods, experts warn that the plan would face significant hurdles. So this gentleman here, Dennis McConaughey, it's nonsensical to be advocating a revival of XL while hanging these tariffs over Canada, he added. Part of the risk is that the pipelines take a long time to build, and as history has shown, that long timeline leaves room for political decision makers ration to revoke approvals given by the previous administration. Even if Trump were to approve the Keystone XL pipeline, there's still a risk that the next president after him could cancel it. If we couldn't get it done in the first Trump term with all the ducks lined up in a row that we could have, why would this be any different when everything seems like we're starting from a worse position, said commodity analyst Roy Johnson. Oh, here we go. James Coleman, a law professor at the University of Minnesota, said a revamped Keystone XL project could also become tied up in court battles with environmental organizations that are likely to make some of the same legal challenges they have in the past. If he wanted the Keystone XL, this is the very worst thing he could have done to get it, the tariffs, said Heather Exner-Pyro, an advisor on energy and security. So basically what I'm trying to show you guys is like, yes, the pipeline could come to Alberta, create a bunch of jobs. Yes, that would help with real estate pricing, but from the sounds of it, it doesn't seem like it's very feasible at the current time. So all this being said, me personally, I've just never really liked Alberta as investment. I know so many people have gotten absolutely wrecked in Alberta who have lost their shirts investing in Alberta, even when times were good. I wouldn't want to be holding property in that province when times are bad. So maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe you disagree. That's my own personal opinion. I'm entitled to it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm That Agent Kelly, and I'm making moves to move you. Peace.